Hello traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, May the 8th, 2022. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices and most assets which closed the week on a doji near the lows of the week. With strength in some of the stocks that we're watching this week, especially those that Warren Buffett had been buying since February and noted in the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder annual meeting. We will start off the week with a doji from Friday. Most of our indicators are bearish at 14, with 3 neutral and 3 bullish, with the potential for the S&P 500 to test that lower bound around 4,000. That's where support lies, along with resistance at 4,200. The vol trigger is at 4,300, and the zero gamma level is even higher. So we did note on Friday that realized volatility is trending well above what the market is implying, much of that due in part to participants being well hedged. Knowing that, we'd expect a repricing of equity market risk this week with that divergence to resolve. So we'll be watching for how this doji works out in the majority of financial assets, which we'll cover in a minute. The S&P 500 closed on a doji at the lower part of this descending range. RSI still remains below 50, so there is a possibility of a test of this low on Monday, with MACD trying to turn and stochastics rising from 20, giving us an opportunity for a bounce as well. There was indecision last week in many assets, with the doji showing up on the NASDAQ and the Qs as well. At the lower part of its range, looking for a bounce. RSI is pointing a bit lower. We do have a major gamma level down at 300 that many people are focused on for a potential test. While we did have 2 distribution days, Thursday and Friday, stochastics is trying to continue. MACD is below its signal line and dropping. So there is weakness in this particular chart, with many Elliott wave theorists looking for a 5th wave higher back into this pattern. IWM also showed weakness last week. We're looking for RSI to turn up. We did find buyers at the low of the day on Friday, so maybe we do see a little bounce back into this pattern, which would be risk on if we do see small caps starting to catch a bid. That said, breadth continues to deteriorate, so we need to see the advanced decline moving higher and the number of stocks making new highs, beating out new lows. We're still below the zero line, looking pretty weak into this descending pattern that persists going into May OPEX. That said, conditions are pretty oversold as we look for breadth to improve. So maybe there is a bounce this week with many assets giving us doji patterns. Breadth in the S&P 500, mid caps, small caps, and large caps had all pulled back last week. No surprise to most of you in the trading room, while we look for this to spring back towards the zero line in the short term. With the close in the indices at the lower bounds of its descending patterns, we were looking for VIX to spike higher to give us a confirmation for a potential bottom. So VIX is lacking in that respect, as it appears most market participants are well hedged going into this week. Bonds finished the week at the lows as well, with TLT remaining in this persistent downtrend, along with junk bonds and high-yield corporate debt. Given the current state of the U.S. indices, we'd like to see junk bonds and high-yield corporate debt moving higher, not lower. This is a risk-off scenario for equities. While the 10-year continues along its bullish trend, this is putting pressure on equities as well, especially growth stocks, as most of these finished mixed last week. Still, we're looking for some consolidation in this bullish run in the short term, as we are getting a bit extended from the 50-day, which led to a pullback in the most recent February rally. So if that should occur, we'd look for growth stocks to get a bounce, catch a bid, while at the same time we look for the US dollar to pull in a little bit as well. And if the US dollar does pull in, we would look for a bounce in gold, which is still in this descending pattern below all of its moving averages. We would look for a bounce back in the top of the range, only if the dollar does start to pull back from its current highs. Finally, we have crude oil, 10 weeks in this triangle pattern, consolidating the gains from late last year and a big source of inflation consumers are dealing with at the present time. So it is very interesting that Warren Buffett was buying Chevron and Occidental Petroleum. In February, we saw this big run up in Chevron that was Warren buying, along with Occidental Petroleum, further anticipating that crude oil products and natural gas will continue to move higher in the short term. The sector heat map hasn't changed very much. We're still very red. A few oranges starting to show up. We'll look for those sectors to show strength. And oil and gas improving, as previously discussed. We're also looking at the international markets with a few starting to show potential, like Turkey and China, with commodities also mixed. While all of the small cap sectors did pull back, many of them are showing dojis. The strongest sector by far obviously being small cap energy. We will look for those sectors that are showing dojis for potential bounce. While the spider sectors showed weakness as well, energy was the highlight, moving higher. Many of them showing buyers at the lows of the session. On Friday, looking for a follow through, especially in consumer discretionary, maybe retail. Those are areas where the consumer is involved. If we don't see any follow through, look for further weakness. The IBD 50 for the week, quite a few stocks from the oil and gas and energy sectors, with some of these stocks at extremes a little bit overbought, like ATKR, moving up to the top of its range. RSI is at 70. Volume showing institutions were picking up shares. MACD above its signal line, stochastics rising towards 52-week highs. Bunge looking for a follow-through after a bounce off the 50-day. RSI is rising. Volume starting to pick up. Need to see stochastics and MACD turn this week. Canadian natural resources in the energy sector looking for a follow-through. What I'm watching is stochastics rising off of the oversold condition. MACD trying to turn. Look for a bounce this week in many of the energy stocks. Carlisle companies, we're looking for a follow-through here as well. A push off the 921-day. RSI stay above 50. Volume shows institutions have been picking up shares. MACD's above its signal line. Stochastic a little bit overbought, watching how that reacts as price consolidates. Synovus Energy, another stock from the industry group that we're watching this week. Looking for a follow-through, volume picking up, MACD above its signal line. Stochastic's a little overbought. ConocoPhillips looking for a follow-through for obvious reasons. Warren busy in this space. Looking for a breakout. The follow-through and RSI to continue higher. Diamondback Energy, a favorite when it starts to go. It's been consolidating for the past 12 to 16 weeks, looking for a breakout, with RSI showing improving strength in the trend. MACD's above its signal line and stochastics rising. Eagle Bulk Shipping, watching for a lot of these stocks like Zim Integrated, Costamare, Star Bulk, Safe Bulkers, and Diana Shipping, looking for all of them to push higher together. Earthstone Energy, looking for a follow-through. Volume shows institutions have been picking up shares. Stochastics and MACD both moving higher. Eli Lilly, one of my favorite stocks for the week. Looking for a follow-through here as Eli Lilly consolidates along the 21-day. RSI is pointing the way, showing strength is improving in the trend. MACD is about to cross, and stochastics is rising. Look for Eli Lilly to continue higher this week. Kimball Royalty Partners, first time it's been on the IBD 50 that I'm aware of, showing strength of trend. Many of the real estate stocks look good. McKesson, also mentioned last week, nice 5-day run off the 50-day test. Looking for a follow-through. Big day on Friday, expansion. Looking for a breakout and a follow-through. New Fortress Energy, consolidating the recent gains from March. Looking for a follow through and a breakout. Fertilizer stocks, can we get a bounce? We'll watch this whole group this week as well. Nutrien, looking for a bounce off the 50-day. Nice slope to the 50-day. It's like a 45-degree angle. Strength in the trend. Occidental Petroleum on the IBD 50 again. For obvious reasons, Warren's buying. We're looking for a follow through and a continuation this week. Pilgrim's Pride on the IBD 50 this week. Looking for a follow through. And consumer staple stocks, especially food and consumer staples products. PPC looking pretty strong, looking for the breakout. RSI is above 50. Stochastics is embedded, showing persistent strength. Pioneer Natural Resources, obvious strength in the energy sector. Ranger Oil Corp, looking for a pop back to the 52-week highs. And the top of the range, RSI is rising. MACD is about to follow through after crossing on Thursday, Friday. Stochastics is rising. Talos Energy, another name from this space, looking for a follow through. Strength of trend. MACD crossed. Stochastics near overbought. Stochastics trending higher. And Viper Energy looking for a follow through. After retesting the 9, 21, and 50-day moving averages, RSI needs to turn back up. And Zem Integrated looking for this maritime bulk shipper to continue higher. RSI is above 50. Volume showing institutions picking up shares, MACD rising, stochastics a little embedded. Maybe you get a better entry, maybe it pulls back a little bit, but it looks like we're headed back up to 52-week highs in the short term. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is because of Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. It is Mother's Day, so I need to cut this short. Look for the watch list out later tonight around 12 midnight on the East Coast, around 9 o'clock on the West Coast. I'll send that out to your inbox, so make sure you check for that. Otherwise, have a great weekend, what's left of it, and all you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. We'll see you in the morning. Take care.